Good. All right.
Okay, it's the
So they're just
user's
funny.
guide to
But
Articles
anyways,
5.
article,
User's guide to Article 5. I'm Rubber Fingers, and joining me, Pagan Communist. How's it going?
and I'm pagan communist. I'm doing good. The pagan communist is doing good.
Awesome. Awesome. A lot has happened. Um, Lots to talk about. We had a special election in Ohio, which illustrated the need for some kind of change. And we had, what else? Wildfires out here in California going crazy, severe drought all along the western half of the country. A lot of stuff, lots going on, right?
Oh yes, yes. Well, Mendocino is. Can you hear me now? I put my other thing in.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay. Okay. Mendocino is trucking in water. They've run out of water.
Oh,
Mendocino, is that up near you? Mendocino, California?
I don't know where Mendocino is, to be honest.
I think it's kind of around there. It might be it could be in the northern part. I think it's got one of those, uh, one of the, you know, Father Sierra chapels or, deals
Hmm.
in them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, and Greece is on fire. Greece is on fire. Athens, they had to evacuate part of Athens.
Maybe
My,
the Western chauvinists will finally take climate change seriously, since one of the three historical important cities is finally being affected.
yeah, my animal rescuer there they had to evacuate the shelter, the animal shelter.
Hmm. That's
And they were lucky enough to be able to take it to like a horse, a place where they board horses and kind of a horse stable, equestrian center across the town. But, that's
mm,
that's not that far.
mm-hmm.
Not that far. And they had 1,400 people were moved by ferry in Greece from a fire.
Wow.
So this shit is real. Greece is a tiny country. It's a lot of like little islands and one little kind of big piece of land. Not big piece of land, but bigger than the islands. And they have like 5 fires. It's just they have no and this will
Yeah.
the devastation it does to your wildlife, which is an ecosystem of its own. And we do not live on this planet by ourselves, even though we are the only bipedal, placental mammals. We do not live here alone, nor
Mm-hmm.
can we survive alone.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. The
So that,
animals are the ones I really feel bad for.
yeah, because they run themselves to death, or they're dying of thirst because there is no water, or they are burnt alive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Anybody here raising their hand for any of those kind of ways to go? Just asking, because that's what we are. We
Mm-hmm.
are, sentencing them to that. That's what the rulers of the world,
Mm-hmm.
what a good job we do.
I know. Well, I mean, we've got to
That
do
was
better.
sarcasm.
We've got to do more, obviously. Um,
Well, and that brings us into what
uh-oh.
we get past,
You're breaking up.
right?
Whatever you just did something.
Can you hear me now? I said
Yes.
in that
Uh-oh. No, you're doing it again.
past,
It's happening
from the
again.
past. I'm doing it again. Okay, just a second. All right. I can't walk in my house, is what it is, guys. Just so you know,
Yeah.
I cannot walk in my house,
Got one
or
spot.
I
You sound
go.
good now. Wherever you are now, sounds good.
Yeah, this is out in the garage.
Oh, okay.
This is out in the garage. So, what I said is, and that leads us to the past. What we want to get past from the
Yes.
past,
Yes. That is
which is
the theme of the day, which is what?
the CAA.
Yes. Yes,
The
indeed.
first ever, the first ever, the first original, the only number one proposed amendments from the first Congress.
That's right. The very first proposed amendment. Yes. Article the first, they call it.
They did. They called them articles, which is weird to me. They did not really call them amendments.
Right. And so to do this, to talk about it, I kind of want to jump back to about 2 weeks ago when when I posted about it on Twitter, and my response that I got, which was good. It was a tweet that got some interest, but it had people give some surprising responses, and it led me to discover that there is a movement already for the same purpose online, but this movement isn't about passing Article the First. It's about uncapping the house. That's what they call themselves. So shout out, hello everyone in the Uncap the House Reddit thread. If it's not really called a Reddit. It's just called, yeah, the Uncap the House subreddit or Reddit. I don't really know Reddit very well, so if I get some of the Reddit slang wrong, then apologies. But shout out and hello, thank you for sharing our video, and thank you to whoever posted our video on that Reddit. We discovered the Article the First Congressional Apportionment Amendment while researching Article 5 and the history of amendments, and now we feel that it is the most practical and would be the most effective thing that we could do right now to save this country. For many reasons, and we'll go into those again, but basically, we need representation, which we don't have right now.
We really don't. And the thing about the Uncap the House movement, and I want to give them a little more of a shout out in the sense of not talking just about uncapping how many U.S. members we have, but we have to really look at how sort of we allow a certain way of which voting for a very small number of people gets to represent a very large number of people. The one that they were talking about is like, let's take the Los Angeles City Council. Like, how many people do they represent? And there's only like 5 or 6 of them, I think. And
Yes.
I mean, I think the city of Los Angeles has something like, I think, 4 million people in it or more. I mean,
A lot.
so a lot. It used to have, I think, the city at one time I was told had 9 million. Might still have 9 million. That was like when I lived there. Might still have 9. I'm thinking if that's a city or what they call the whole area. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but we'd have to look. But it's a bunch, and it's sort of like that is unrealistic as well. Because how would you even know what kind of a city council person that you're going to get before that? Because they can only really probably meet you through TV ads. And that is the whole problem of how people run campaigns in America because they have to. I mean, a lot of times you're forced to do ads because there is no other way to reach your constituents or your prospective voters or whoever you want
Right.
to talk to at that time. Right.
Well, we just
And
saw back
go
to
ahead.
that Ohio 11th special election that just happened, where one side raised like 5 million in dark, dirty money, and the other side raised like 2.5 or 3 million or something from, small dollar donors. I mean, it shouldn't take that kind of money, And I've heard similar, outrageous numbers for like the LA City Council and things like that too. Little seats that have so much power, it needs to be spread out. Basically, is what I'm saying. We all see that it needs to be spread out among a greater representative body so that it's not so that each one doesn't have so much power that it's unattainable for an average citizen. So, but that being said, so I'm not trying to criticize the uncap the House movement, but I think what you're saying is there should be a larger movement to just increase the size of all these governing bodies, and I think
That's what they really want to do.
right,
Uncap the House doesn't want to just uncap the U.S. House. They
right.
want to uncap these other things. So
Hmm.
that was the shout out, yes, that I was
Yes.
giving to them about that.
But now,
Because,
if I
go ahead.
may, I would like to make some suggestions, because I think it's too easy to get unfocused and get all,
Right.
di- you know, diffuse your energy in too many directions. And in my opinion, and I think you agree with me, the most direct way to get what we want is Article the First, pass that congressional apportionment amendment. Not only is it the closest, it's the closest thing to passing as far as amendments right now because it already has 11 states have ratified it. It's already through Congress and has 11 states. So, and that leads me to the criticism I got on Twitter, or not criticism, but somebody said that unfortunately there's two different versions of the of Article the First. One came out of the House and one came out of the Senate. And when they said that, I said, well, what's wrong with just having 27 more states pass the same language that was already passed by 11 states? And that person didn't respond to that. They just liked my comment. So I think that works. I mean, there's honestly no argument. You just say, well, George Washington sent the version to the states that's already passed by 11 states. So we're just going to keep ratifying that one in all the states. And if we get 27 more and we get to 34, and then, I don't know, the Supreme Court or somebody tries to step in and say, oh,
38. We got to get
well,
38.
yeah, 27 more to make it. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 27 more to make
You
it
have to get it
38.
done.
Then if somebody says, oh, we have to go back and rewrite it because the House and Senate passed different versions back in 1789 or whenever it was, then I'll say, well, then you're telling George Washington, the first president, that he didn't know what he was doing when he sent it out to the states. He knew what he was doing. Anyways, there's several reasons why. It's not just because it's the closest one to passing as far as an amendment. The other reason is it's a bold and it's a big change. If we got the
There's
if we
a lot of risk involved. We will admit there's
sorry, can't understand you. You're breaking up.
I said there's risk. There's always a risk involved with these bold changes, but
Yes.
you have to decide.
There may be some risk, but I see, yeah, I mean, so the risk is, well, there would be something like 6,200 or something around that members of the House of Representatives if Article the First passed. The CAA. If the CAA passed, you'd have 50,000 constituents in every House district, which would give you, if you divide 350 million, the population of America, divided by 50,000 for each House district, you would get something like 6,000 and change representatives. And so that may be unruly, but I see no reason to worry about that because we now have modern technology that would make it easy to manage a larger governing body like that. And it's supposed to be representative of the population. So I think 50,000 is where it should stop. People on the Uncap the House Reddit have talked. They talk about these other things, the Wyoming rule, because Wyoming is the smallest state or something, or the square root of something rule, the square root rule. And I think, guys, that
Mm.
is all getting into the weeds, and that is not what the movement
Mhm.
should be focused on. That's actually
Mhm.
really distracting and potentially harmful to the movement to talk about those kind of things. I think as a movement, what our focus should be is push for as low of a number for House representatives as we can possibly get. So that would mean if we were trying to get legislation passed, I would say shoot for 30,000, which is what the Constitution says is the bottom limit. If you're trying to
Well,
push,
not really. You can't. Oh,
yeah,
well, because in that Article 1 it says once you
yeah,
get over 100 U.S. House members, then you bump it up to 40,000. That's how it.
yeah,
That's
that's
how I
how
read it.
Article the first. That's how the
Okay.
Congressional Apportionment Amendment reads.
Okay.
My first push would be the Congressional Apportionment Amendment. That's my number one. I say that should be our main focus. If people want to focus on pressuring Congress, like if passing the Congressional Apportionment Amendment through several states leads to Congress taking interest and wanting to write their own amendment, I say as a movement we should push for the lowest number possible, which in Article 1
Oh,
of the
that.
Constitution, yes,
Yes.
the lowest
Is
number allowed
30,000.
is
Sorry.
30,000. And the reason why you should push for the extreme ask is so that when they negotiate a different number, it's closer to your terms. It's lower than what it will end up being, because
Anything.
that's how you negotiate. That's how you negotiate. You come in with your biggest offer, and then you meet somewhere in the middle. But so for us, it's the lowest offer, and then we meet somewhere in the middle, and we want that low number of constituents per district, so we get the most representation. Now, I see a lot of these. I see a website that came up, and I don't want to shit on them too hard, but I think this We the People Represented. I've been looking into this super PAC for the Congressional Apportionment Amendment. It says right there on their homepage, the first line of text: forming a more perfect union from an imperfect start. Double the United States House of Representatives, period, uncap the House, period. So right there, their starting ask is to double the United States House. That's so
Not enough.
weak sauce. It's not
That's
enough.
not enough.
So I don't know. I
That's
don't get that.
not enough.
Uh,
It's not enough.
no. If you're going to ask for legislation, you should push for as low of a number as possible, and then, which then leads me to the other thing. I'm just kind of ticking off all the things I've learned about the movement so far. Now that we've come into this movement again, I'm not criticizing. I'm just giving my feedback because I do think I like the work that's been going on so far. But now I need to talk about
No,
a
the last one we did criticize. We did. We
well,
did
yeah,
shit on the last one. Okay.
yeah,
So we admit there are certain parts of this movement that we have found to what we would call be bad faith actors. And these will be the ones we shit on. And there will
yeah.
always be those.
I mean, they could prove us wrong, but it doesn't look good for their case. Doesn't look like they're really down for the
They're
movement.
really
But
serious. They're really serious about representation. You know, when you want 6,000 House of Representatives, we are serious
yes,
about representation as a heart attack, as people like to say. You
but
know, we are. Go ahead.
so anyways, I was about to say on the congressional path. This was also part of the comment that came up on Twitter. Somebody said, "Oh, we need to start pushing for HR 996 because that would hashtag uncap the House." And I pointed out, well, HR 996 wouldn't actually accomplish uncapping the House. It would just be it would just create a
Committee.
committee, or they call it a commission, a congressional commission,
That's it.
which would have, I think it said 15 members or some certain number of members. Yeah, 15 members, which are, it lists how it's composed of what the members are and how they're going to be funded and what they're going to look at. It's not even all about. Okay, so let me read from HR 996. The Commission shall, 1. Analyze the current size of membership of the House of Representatives, considering the requirement for the institution to carry out its responsibilities in an effective manner. 2. Examine alternatives to the current method by which representatives are elected, including ranked choice voting, cumulative voting, and other forms of proportional representation. Okay, so that's different. I mean, I support ranked choice voting, but that's a different thing. 3, examine the use of gerrymandering in the creation of single-member districts. Okay, again, that's a different thing, very important. 4, to the extent necessary, formulate proposals to change the size of the House. Okay, and number 5, no later than the end of the 117th Congress, submit to the President and Congress a report. So that's all they would really do, is come up with a report and draft, and together with a draft of legislation, including technical and confirming provisions to implement, the proposals. So their report could come with legislation, but that legislation could be anything. So again, if you're pushing for legislation, I would say push for a 30,000 seat or a 30,000 constituent district. But then I want to get to the bottom of HR 996, where it says, Section 7. This is the second to last paragraph. There are authorized to be appropriated to carry out this act $5 million to remain available until expended. So, $5
And
million.
who put forth this bill? And who put forth this bill?
This was put forth by Representative L.C.L. Hastings. His first name is Alceeel Hastings. And Representative Hastings has died. He is the late Representative Hastings now.
What was he known for when he was alive?
Well, he was
Wasn't
known...
it like nepotism?
Yes, nepotism. He is on his Wikipedia page, which let me just pull up again. Let me just make sure I say this properly. When I researched him, the first thing that comes up...
Well, we all know what commissions are for. Commissions are where things go to die.
Yeah,
okay.
Basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically he faced trial for falsifying evidence, but he was acquitted for that. He faced impeachment multiple times after, though. He was impeached but not convicted, I guess. Or no, I'm sorry. He was found. No, other defendants were found guilty of soliciting bribes. Though impeached and removed by Congress, Hastings was not disqualified from holding public office. Following Senator Bill Nelson's departure from office in 2019, Hastings became the dean of Florida's congressional delegation and retained his title until his death. I can't find the part where he was ranked.
No, well, I think that was on something else, maybe, and that's why you had it.
No.
But it was,
it's right here. It's
yeah,
right here.
that he tended. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
This is under. Yeah, so it says that he's the least wealthy congressman with an average net worth of $7,500,000. His congressional financial disclosure form indicated that as of 2010, Hastings did not have any earned income and had a bank account balance of $1,000 to $15,000 range and owed several $1 million in legal fees to attorneys. Oh, I'm sorry. I said that was a poorly read. I should have read the entire paragraph. So let me just reread. Let me just clarify the record. In a survey of U.S. lawmakers, Senator for Responsive Politics named Hastings the poorest member of Congress, with a 2000 average net worth of $7,549,000, meaning for Congress. So that it's a badly worded paragraph. I don't accept responsibility for that. That's the average net worth of Congress is $7,500,000. His congressional financial disclosure form indicated he had a bank account balance of $1,000 to $15,000 range. So he was the poorest member of Congress in
But that's
2010.
only because he had to pay so many
Right.
legal fees.
Yeah, but that's because of that. But that's also him personally, but his family was getting paid. In 2012, Hastings was ranked number 1 out of 435 members of the U.S. House of Representatives for paying salaries and fees to family members, according to the conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch, a state-by-state report on members of Congress published by the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, reported that Hastings paid his girlfriend, Patricia Williams, an attorney who worked as his deputy district director, $622,574 over the 4-year period from 2007 to 2010. So ranked number 1 in nepotism claims. Okay, so that's enough about him. I don't like to speak ill of the dead. He obviously was a popular guy to keep getting reelected, even though he had these problems. But this HR 996.
No, we know that that is not true. We know that people get reelected because people just check that box.
That's true. Yeah. This
He may
HR
not have been popular at all. Go ahead.
The fact that it's a $5 million
Payout.
I mean, yeah, it's authorized appropriations.
Budget.
Yeah, so for 15 members, and who are those members going to be? I mean, I don't know who gets to pick them, but I'm sorry, they get appointed by the Speaker of the House. They get appointed by Majority Leader of the House, Minority Leader of the Senate, Majority Leader of the Senate, and then they get elected by the other members of the commission. But it just seems to me like this is a commission that would not accomplish anything except making a recommendation when if you had a legislator who was actually or actually an advocate of uncapping the House, they wouldn't just push for a commission to do research. They would actually push for the legislation that we want. So my only point in going on that long tangent was to say, let's not get distracted by piecemeal efforts that are there just to sort of placate us, where we spend a lot of time pushing for a commission where we don't really know what the outcome of that commission would be. That commission might do research and come back and say, oh, it's a bad idea. We don't know. It could be shooting ourselves in the foot. That's my only point, really.
Well, and my feeling about that is that when you do stuff like that, especially put forth by a person who put that forth, that bill or that HR or whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
It's really just to get money to someone else. It's a bribe of some sort. It's a way to deal with money. It's a way to get people to do what you want for money.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line of it. And so Rubber's Fingers is always much more kind than I am. I actually look at
I mean,
I have to look at who are the people in Congress right now. I mean, like he was.
yeah.
He was not a good person in Congress. So when he was in Congress, and I don't mind speaking ill of the dead, they're dead. I don't care. I mean, what are they going to do? They can't come back and haunt me any more
Yeah.
than I'm already haunted already. So, I mean, I just feel like they're dead. We should speak the facts about them
Yes.
because then we don't embellish them. We don't make them greater than they were. I mean, that seems
True.
to be the problem, as you know, how I feel about our
Yeah.
framer papas,
Our
our
framer,
framing
founder,
papas,
founding framers.
our
Well,
framer founder papas.
I always
I
like to
call them
give
papas.
people the benefit of the doubt because I like to be given the
He
benefit of
does.
the doubt. But when it comes to politicians, I'm kind of losing that rule. Although, just to be completely fair, one of the four one of the he was the sponsor, but then there were three co-sponsors, and one of those three is Barbara Lee, Representative Barbara Lee, and she does have a special place in my heart since she voted against the Iraq War. But
Well, and
she's not
just because
perfect,
she
though.
wants to
Yeah.
have that, he came to her and probably asked her, "Will you do this?"
Uh huh.
And she doesn't see anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
Okay, we are not saying that there's like we're only saying there's something wrong with it because we think we don't trust his motives for making the commission with the money. Okay,
Right.
that's what this really is. That's what we're talking about. But when you look at it on, it's not anything that we're saying, oh, it's a terrible, awful, no good, very bad plan.
No.
We're saying it doesn't make any sense to do it. Why waste your efforts? Why waste your energy? Why even take a moment on it when you have something far better to go to?
Yes.
And that would
This
be
the CAA.
yes.
Now, and that leads to the other reason the CAA is a preferable method is because the CAA doesn't require Congress anymore. Congress already proposed the CAA back in 1789.
Now, isn't that just absolutely the most wonderful thing about our effing Constitution? That it doesn't matter what Congress passed an amendment, it's done. The deal is done, the seal is on it.
Yep.
Nothing can change that.
Yep.
That is so wonderful.
So now it's in the
It's
hands of the states.
wonderful.
But that again, that leads me to the point of
It's very dangerous.
well, no,
We
no,
get into
that
dangerous. Well, we get
that
into where it
wait,
gets risky.
that it goes around Congress, and that's what needs to happen because in this case, Congress is the problem. We're saying Congress is too small. The House is too small. So why would the House of Representatives want to pass legislation that would take away their power? The people who are already in Congress already have the power of Congress. They're not going to want to add more members to the House that would therefore dilute their influence and their power. So again,
Which is okay.
that's why I'm skeptical
Go
of
ahead.
HR 996 because I think it is sort of there just as a distraction because I think there is no way that Congress is ever going to pass legislation. I just don't think it would happen. Congress, maybe you might have a couple like members of, the Justice Democrats or something who are unbought by corporate power and they actually believe in democracy. Maybe there's a couple, but my guess
They ain't
is
getting on that. They
yeah,
aren't going to get on that commission.
they're not gonna get on that commission, and they're not gonna get enough people to vote for legislation that if they were to write something that actually uncapped the House, they're not going to get it passed because the majority of Congress is not going to be in favor of it. Certainly not the parties. The parties are going to be against it because it makes it harder for them to keep their stranglehold over Congress. So that's my other
And
reason
that's
why I just don't think any other way other than the CAA is going to be effective.
and that is where the real risk comes in. Not in this HR one that we're talking about but with the actual congressional apportionment amendment, which is the people in the House right now will be our worst enemies for
Yes.
trying to pass this. And if you don't think that, then we need to have a class to educate you about why we know this and what this will be.
If
Because this
Congress,
isn't
yeah,
our first time to this rodeo, as they like to say either, right?
right.
So
And
we're just laying it out there. Go ahead.
there's going to be a lot of people along the way who pretend that they're on your side. We know that the number one way that they fight against you is by acting like they're on your side. All the way up until it's time to actually do something, and then they tell you, "Oh, I was never really on your side." And they stab you in the back. That's the way this game is played. So
Oh, absolutely.
all the
Go
people who are
ahead.
acting like they are in favor of this, but they want to do half measures, or they want to, do milk toast, sort of like incrementalism. They are they're not serious. And I'm not saying we
Yes,
need to get like
the
paranoid. I don't want people to get paranoid. I just want people to be
aware.
aware and a little paranoid. I mean, yeah, you do have to be a little
Well,
paranoid because
aware and the idea that this is not something we don't know about. I mean, the idea that in this society today in America, you could actually think that only good faith actors would be on your side is sort of kind of a delusion you want to have because it's obvious out there
yeah.
whether it's whether you're BLM in the streets, whether you're an advocate for the Sierra Club, or whether you're just living in a town, we all know that that's not how it really works. It's kind of like, your neighbors can be like pleasant to your face, and then all of a sudden they're going to take you to court because your fence is over the line. Do what I'm saying here, folks? This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that our fence is over the line and our neighbors are going to come for us. And if you don't think so, you have not been watching.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, so far, and I think the Uncap the House Reddit, at least, I don't know if the movement really exists anywhere other than on Reddit. I think I'm still, again, still new to the conversation here, but they seem to have a healthy skepticism because when that super PAC showed up out of the blue, a lot of people were saying, this seems fishy, and there was a healthy amount of skepticism. So my hat's off to you for sussing that out.
We need to tell you that the Uncap the House is a very old, it's not new, it's old. It got like, there was a movement in, when did it, 20, what was it,
Oh,
2000, right? A
yeah.
movement started in 2000,
Well,
before this, before the Uncap the House, but
it
a
it
movement did start like this,
I
right?
found that website 30,000.org, or it's 30-thousand.org. I found that on the Uncap the House Reddit, and that was, yeah. Let's see, it was started in
When Bush got
like
elected, you said, or right after,
2005 or something, or
right. It was during the Bush years. And then when after Obama got elected, they sort of put it to rest.
pretty
They'd
much, yeah.
stopped that big movement. But now it has come back again. So I think that that is a legitimate movement that has gone on off and on for a while when they feel it's needed. Because they think that, oh, I don't know, like maybe a January 6th insurrection or the fact that Americans are killing at will might be a reason to get more representation in Congress. Just saying. Just an idea. Maybe not, though.
Yeah. But thank you again to the Uncap the House Reddit. It seems
Yes.
like we got our biggest amount of love on any of our videos from that video about the CAA, and I think it was all from views from that share on that Reddit. So I am going to create a Reddit account just basically just to upload whatever clip I make from this video that we're making now to that subreddit. And I'll say hi. And I don't know how often I'll be on Reddit. Maybe I'll become a Reddit guy. I don't know. I haven't yet. I've been squeamish or whatever. But yeah, we do believe in this movement, and so thank you for all the work that's been done already. And I hope that people will hear our plea to start focusing on the CAA and forget about
It
the
has
other
about what,
distractions. What?
4,000 members or something? What is that? 2,000 members? It has a fair amount of members. The subreddit
Yeah, let's
account,
see. I'm
right?
looking at. Yeah, it's 4,000, 4.1K.
So yeah, I don't think that was done with bots, to be honest. But
No, I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem enough for bots, and it seems too much for not nobody. So, I mean, they're bigger than us. We will admit they are bigger than us.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we just started too. We're a new show, new entity, and so hopefully folks will subscribe to our thing. We're gonna keep talking about the CAA. So I hope, yeah, and I hope people will start joining us on Twitch. If anybody in the Uncap the House wants to give us feedback, please leave a comment. Come to our live stream next week on Sunday at 11 Pacific time.
We look for guests. We look for
Yeah.
guests.
We haven't had any
I
guests
mean,
yet, and I'll have to figure out our setup, but we want to have guests at some point. So yeah, we'd love to have somebody from the Uncap the House on at some point, and yeah, come join our discussion. I will start joining the discussion on the Reddit too. So yeah, thanks. Anything else to say
so
about
on.
that topic? Peace
No,
out.
I think we've done all we can with Uncap the House.
Okay.
Oh, I maybe I should. When I'm saying that the Uncap the House, I don't want to get distracted by like what's happening, what they're talking about, which is to get more people on the city council and stuff. But what I'm thinking is
Mm-hmm.
that if we, and I think that that is also their sort of vision when I read it, which is if we get the CAA passed,
Mm-hmm.
as an amendment,
Right.
then it will be easier to say, look, we need more representation at the
Right.
city level and things
It's
like
yeah.
that.
It
Yeah, so
spreads
that's
the
all I wanted to
idea.
say on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. It
That's what I'm
becomes.
saying is that their first one is still
Mm-hmm.
the CAA, I think. That is their top
Well,
priority.
I
Go ahead.
their priority is uncapping the House. So they I don't think they have explicitly said the CAA is the priority. But I think it should be. That's my
Well,
pitch,
right. They've never
or
said
our
that
that's our
because they
pitch.
think that's our pitch, but also
Mm-hmm.
they do realize that that is probably the best way to get it done. I'm just not
Yeah.
sure if they have actually sat down and asked themselves to
Uh
make a
huh.
plan.
Right.
See, we know what to do because we've done such things before. And
Right.
I would have thought that people in the Cap the House would be activists and have done such things before. But perhaps they feel like
Mm-hmm.
it is a risk. And
Well, the risk that I see as far as like the process once we get it going, the risk is that it won't be successful and that people will undermine it in the state legislatures and get the state legislatures to vote no. Like if the parties get out in front of us, so that's where we need to be careful. I guess we're still on this topic where we haven't wrapped it up yet. We have to be very careful. I'm
we've
like,
gone, but we haven't. We thought we left that topic, but we haven't. We've come
yeah,
back. We've
we've come
revisited
back.
it. Sorry, folks.
uh, because like the next step, you and I have talked about what we think the next step should be is to start getting other organizations involved.
Yes, yes, which I'd like to not talk so much about on
Okay, right,
air.
right, right. But how are we going to get it done? It's states have to start ratifying the amendment. But there's a danger in once it's live for a vote, it's an up or down vote, and if it starts getting voted no, then uh, then it could be killed. It could if 13 states, or I guess it's only yeah, are all the states who have.
We only need 7. 6 have already said no, right? Didn't we already say that?
Oh wait,
That is the risk. We looked at it. Yeah,
hold
that's the
on.
risk.
I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah,
any
because
states have said no.
yes, Connecticut did and Georgia did. We know Connecticut stopped it because they didn't ratify it.
Right? Yeah, Connecticut must have, huh?
And they
Um,
voted no on it, right? On half of it. This is a very complicated issue, ladies and gentlemen, and cats and dogs. Actually, it's not cats and dogs, it's dogs and bears. I don't know why I always say cats and dogs. It's dogs and bears. They come from the same ancestor. Um,
yeah, congressional apportionment has been voted no by Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Massachusetts. So yeah, 4. You're right. 4
or
have voted no. So yeah, it would only
now they can
take.
rescind. They can rescind or they can change their vote.
That's right.
So
So
if you're
we
in Massachusetts, if you're in Connecticut, and if you're in Delaware, go beat on your legislator's
or
phone.
Georgia. Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Those would
Georgia.
be those would be the smartest ones to start with. If we could start with those ones and get one to flip, because there's no chance of them going from a neutral to a negative. They could only change to a positive. So actually it would be smartest to start with those 4.
They are supposed to be more liberal these days
Except for
than they were
Georgia.
back
But
in
yeah,
the day.
Massachusetts,
Yeah, I know.
Connecticut, and
That's not the
Delaware.
one I.
Yeah,
3. The 3.
that's. I guess you left out. Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't
Yes.
get why you were leaving. That's very clever. Yes. So those would be the smartest to start with, because they can't flip to a no. They're already a no, so there's no danger in them voting it down.
So
So
please, if you're in Delaware, please, if you're in Connecticut, please, if you're in Massachusetts, please, please help us. Please. We beg of you. We plead for the future of us all, for all the animals in the world, for anything that you care about. We beg of you. I mean
yeah,
it. That is no joke. We are totally and completely sincere. If I could, on screen get down on my hands and knees on this concrete and beg you, I would. But there is no point in telling. I could tell you I did it, but you probably wouldn't believe me anyway. So unless you could see it, and I wouldn't either. So I'm just pleading and begging with you now in my chair.
well, yeah, okay. So there
So
is
there we
risk.
are.
You're right.
There is risk, but that's when you have to be bold. You know, I think about it. I think of, William the Bastard, who became the King of England. Not the first King of England, but the first French King of England. I think of all those things. I think of I think of Sherman in the war and burning his way down to Atlanta. That was very bold. That was very risky because he had to supply his troops with food. Where is he going to get it if he's burning his way down there? It's a risky thing he was doing.
And at least
His
for
troops could have
us,
got to Atlanta and died. I'm just saying. So risk, you cannot be bold without risk.
right?
That is your seesaw. So if you are not willing to take the risk, then please don't join us. I
At,
mean that because it would be too much for you.
and at
If
least
you
for
only
us,
think that, go ahead.
the real like danger is that nothing would happen, and we would just be
That is us.
exactly where we are right now. So our risk isn't even like so like because right now the CAA is sitting there like it has been for 203 or 233 years. So worst case scenario, things stay the same, right? I mean, or it sits there and nothing happens. So at least like we're not risking, you know, we're not even risking a convention in this case, which you and I don't think is a risk. An Article 5 convention.
Right.
We haven't even read Article 5 yet today. We have to read Article 5 still.
We do.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you
Pulling.
want to read it? Do you want me to read it? Because I don't
Uh,
have my book, but I can go get it. I know where it is.
Up to you. If you want to go get it, you can. Otherwise, I've got it here.
Okay, so rubber fingers will continue to, impress and entertain.
Okay. Yeah. Article 5 is what makes amendments possible. That is the lifeblood of the Constitution, and that's why people are afraid of amendments, and they're afraid of conventions because people are afraid of real change. But real change is what we need. We can't afford to have the status quo because things are not good in this country. People are hurting out there. We need real representation. And if we had 50,000 constituents in each House district, then they would actually listen. They would have to listen because people would start showing up at their office more. They would be people that you'd pass them on the street. And then
That's the real thing. That's the real thing. And next week we'll talk more about how the founders perhaps thought representation should actually be, since we don't have time today. Because there's a lot on that. It's not just a cut and dried issue. I didn't mean to interrupt, but yes,
no.
that's.
Okay, ready when you are.
I am. And I will try to just be maybe kind to the Article 5 today.
Okay.
The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to the Constitution, or, on the application of the legislatures of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which, in either case, shall be valid to all intents and purposes, as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof. As the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the First Amendment, and that no state, without its consent, shall be deprived of its suffrage in the state.
Senate.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, well, the Article 5 lives on.
And it heaps hope alive.
Are we there yet? We're not quite there yet. We've still got like
Exactly.
5 minutes or so.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so. But it does keep our hope alive all the time.
Uh-huh.
But I'm really glad, in a way, and maybe we should talk about this. You see, part of why we talk about the Article 5 is that no one really talks about it. Nobody thinks about it in America anymore. It's like it's old and it's unimportant. Or it's, just a part of the Constitution. But it is the actual living part of our Constitution. Because any day, a amendment can be added to the Constitution to change it.
Oh, speaking of which, Alec, so there wasn't really much in my email this week about amendment conventions, my Google alert. But Alec is having a a conference or something in Nevada right now. I think it was in Nevada, and they're having like a mock Article 5 convention, and they're inviting a bunch of state legislators and stuff like that. And the funny thing is though, they're now pushing for like a new conservative convention, like not even the convention of states for balanced budget and term limits. They're talking about like a federal spending. They're like talking about a whole new convention of states push just on federal spending. And I think they're doing it because they see that the whole language of all those resolutions being different is going to be a problem. So I don't know. Yeah, it seems like so Alec is definitely all in on the convention thing, which is sad.
You might want to explain, Alec,
Well,
just in
Alec
case
is
people don't know.
American Legislative Exchange Commission, I think. And
Whatever it is, it's not really what they do, but go
yeah,
ahead.
it's a big evil think tank, basically, or special interest.
Money, money,
Yeah,
money. Yeah, it's very moneyed.
NGO, isn't it a what they would call a classic NGO, non-governmental organization or something?
Yep, with a lot of money that works in conjunction with the government for no reason, except that they have a lot of private money that funds them.
Yes,
And they are the ones who put forth, they are the ones who write bills now. Because your Congress people, your senators, they don't write bills anymore. Alec writes their bills. Not even as a state legislature in most places do they write their own legislature. Like in California, that's all written by Alec. Just so you
that's
understand
right.
how
So
that
they're
works.
very
It is.
powerful. They're very sort of closed off. This is an invite-only conference that they're having. But
Yeah,
I
because see, this is a way for them to get around even having to, they want to do something that they can't get Congress or the state legislators to do. So somehow they're going to make a convention.
to change the
Okay.
Constitution. Yep. And so basically it just goes to the fact that the convention is very powerful. It's a powerful tool. So powerful
Yeah, it
forces
can change the
are trying to harness it, but obviously that's why like it needs to be harnessed first by the people, like before these
by
sort
a
of
grassroots, which it
yeah
has always been sort of, we believe, a grassroots. But the problem is that there is no way to actually tell because that history is almost impossible to find.
mm-hmm,
One, I'm not sure a lot of it's even written down, and if it is only at the state level.
mm-hmm,
Which, when things are only at the state level, things get burnt down, things get flooded,
right,
documents get lost. Whether you want to accept that or not, that is a fact.
mm-hmm,
And that has happened throughout history.
mm-hmm,
So, with that, we can't we don't even have, unfortunately, any real forensics to work with, like geology or anthropology
mm-hmm,
or those kind of things that in the real world are scientific that could help us looking at this historically. But the impossibility and the monumental task it would take for people to actually go to their own house, their own state legislators legislature to find all this out
mm-hmm.
is in it would be so laborious. It would be just an impossibility. So on that note, we talk about it that we think this was always a grassroots, organ, organically grown, the Article 5 calls. That's what we have. Always believed rubber fingers and I. That is an assertion we have accepted from the beginning, which is why Alex is an aberration.
Uh huh.
It's
And yeah,
abhorrent to us.
an outlier. Yeah, I mean, on some level, the safeguards of Article 5 protect us from any bad amendments because the three-fourths ratification is so high that, yeah, okay, if Alec wants to propose an amendment, and I don't know what it, if their amendment was just no taxes on the rich, like that's not going to pass 38 states, I mean, so anything that's going to pass has to be overwhelmingly popular. We know that. So,
Well,
on,
we think that, but I think that that's not necessary. See, you think that. See, that's where you and I do differ. Which is,
well,
I think that the
mhm.
state legislatures already feel that they can trust and believe in Alec.
That's true.
Okay?
And if the states that's true. And if the state legislatures are the ones that are ratifying,
The convention they've already called.
well, or yeah, or an amendment from Congress, or yeah, if the state legislatures are the ones ratifying it, then yeah, it could be a problem. It would almost be nice to amend Article 5 to say that all state ratification of amendments has to be done by majority vote of the population, not by conventions, not by legislatures, but by majority popular vote in each state. But I don't know. That's too hard to even push for to get there. But I don't know. Anyways, we've gone on our hour now. We've
Okay.
talked about a lot of things. Thanks to everybody who's been listening. Thanks again to the Uncap the House Reddit. I will be clipping this and posting it sometime this week, although I'm going to be busy this week, so I don't know when that'll happen, but hopefully soon. And until next time,
Okay.
keep hope
We're going
alive.
to keep hope with Article 5.
All right. See ya.
Bye.